Hey everyone, thanks for coming to the stream today. We'll get started with the lesson in about 20 minutes. So all of you are early, very early today. Let's see who's here. Though to be fair, I was definitely the most early today. I've been here for the past 2 hours, almost. Takes about that long to set up for everything. Welcome, welcome. Hey Lynn, a long time no see. What's the topic today, you ask? Well, I would direct your eyes a couple inches down right below the video, and you'll see we are going to be learning about asking favors or giving favors or anything to do with that, with the verbs chuda, turida, and also sushida toward the end. These all mean to give, but they're used with verbs to mean doing something for someone else. And we'll talk about how that works in today's lesson. Paulina, 안녕하세요. Welcome, Paulina, as well as Aniki. Lynn, you're in Korea for a month. That's awesome. Hopefully I can get back there again, though not for another month or so at the very least, and definitely not for a long trip. So if I can go to Korea at all, probably would be for a short trip. Let's move my microphone a little bit more out here. There we go. Okay. None of you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to move my microphone out. It's hiding underneath. It's like 1 centimeter underneath the view of what you can see. Oh, you can kind of, no, you still can't see it even if I move it. Okay. Welcome, welcome. So for our stream, we're going to be learning about these verbs and how to use them together with other verbs. So this is a very important and beginner level, but essential grammar form that you're going to be using daily when speaking Korean. I definitely use this on a daily basis. So we're going to be talking about that today. Before that, we have a few quick announcements just to know if you are a Patreon member, which many of you are, actually, a lot of you are. I think maybe, I don't know, 100 or so of the regular viewers of this live stream, of these live streams, are Patreon members. And you should know, if you don't already know, that with your Patreon membership comes access to all of my live stream outlines and worksheets. So you don't have to pay or support me in any other way to watch these live streams. But if you do, you get access to additional bonus material, which is all of the sentences organized, all of the teaching material I use. So that way you don't have to take your own notes. We still can, but you have my notes as well. And this has everything that I teach. So I'll give all the examples we do, of course, the really basic explanations for everything. So it's a really quick cheat sheet if you just want to review a lesson without having to watch a video. So yeah, this is for all of the Patreon members, and not just this one, but every single one I've ever done. You can get those on my Patreon page. Another way to support me is also by becoming a member of this channel. And by becoming a member of this channel, you get access to sometimes member-only posts. You get access to the members-only channel in my Discord, which, again, I have a Discord channel. You should check that out if you haven't already. Let me post a thing here. I'll post a link in the chat. And members also get to watch these live streams abridged, the short versions of these live streams, the same night that they finish. So after a few hours, once this is finished, I'm going to quickly edit together everything, compress it down to maybe about 10 minutes, just the really need to know material, the sentences, the explanations, and put it up on my channel. And all of you members can watch that tonight. And for everyone else, it's still going to be available for free, but you'll have to wait until it's Wednesday or Thursday. So I think this week it will be Wednesday that you can watch it for free and members can watch it from tonight. Time to become a member. Yes. It's just an option for those of you who are able. I don't expect everyone to have to pay to learn Korean. I believe that knowledge in general should be free. And although I should be able to make a living doing what I'm doing, at the same time, I know a lot of people aren't able to pay for things like this. So yeah, this is just an extra option for those of you who are financially able to. It supports me. It helps me to make new content, better content for you, I should say. And yeah, so that's just one more benefit you get from that. Let's see who else is here. I see lots of 안녕하세요 in the chat. That is great to see. Salma asks a question. What about 갖다 주다? That is a different grammar form called 다 주다. And I have a separate live stream about that, actually. check out my live stream Google document, which you can find a link to in my community tab. I can post another one here. I'll link it in the chat box as well. And there is a different lesson about chuda, so check that one out. But that's not going to be for this lesson. This is going to be conjugated verbs with chuda. Let's see what else we have. Paulina says, I'm getting back to your Korean reading book. Oh yes, Reading Made Simple. That's this one. Yes, someday I'd like to make a sequel. I originally envisioned this as a regular, like a series that I would publish multiple books. But life happened. More specifically, there was a pandemic that happened, and that delayed the release of the other ones. I was going to do them the year after that and then continue. And I ended up doing some other stuff, though. It turned out okay, but I'd like to go back to that series someday. Let's see. I did have a lot of ideas for other reading content. My goal was to make readily available and affordable reading books that had a variety of content aimed at Korean learners, but at a native reading level. So not like simplified for beginners, like not with fake Korean, but 100% native level for natives, but also for learners at the same time. So that was the goal. And I think I accomplished it with the first book, but again, I'd like to see if I can do some more. So maybe in the future. I won't say anything though right now because I have other things I need to do before that. Coming up will be a few other projects I have planned. The first of which though is going to likely be some more analyzing K-pop speakers speaking Korean. So we'll see about that. But that's going to be the next project that I do after I finished with some other things I'm doing right now. Currently, I'm editing the videos still that I filmed back during the summer in Korea. So July, a lot of the videos I filmed in July, I'm still now editing. And I have a few more of those to do. And then once those are done, I can start on the next project. Lee, hello. Welcome, Lee. All right, let's see. A few people are commenting here. Someone says, hello from Italy. Nice, that's right. In Korea, Italy is Italia, is how they say it, Italia. A lot of the names for countries in Korean will actually be their real names in their respective languages. So not always. Some of them which have had history with Korea or history through Japan or China will have their own different names. That's why we have the word 미국 for America instead of Amerika in Korean. But because that's an abbreviated word for the Chinese word of the country, America. Long story. There are stories for all of the countries' names, why they are the way they are. But except for some which have their own unique name, the other ones are going to be the actual country's name pronounced in Korean. So, which is kind of interesting. Let's see. Check the chat real quick. Lexica says, we like long stories. Really? Hey, Zandria! Right when I was looking at the chat. Zandria's super chat popped up. Thank you so much. Let me write you, Zandria, you are our first sponsor. I'll call you a sponsor, I guess, if that's okay. Sponsor for today's live stream. Zandria! Besides, okay, and you have a good question. Besides using Hangul in the search bar or shelling out for VPN, okay, that's not a bad idea. I'll talk about that in a second. What are some tactics to ensure you find the non-English version of a website? Yeah, the way you find a non-English version of a website. So you're talking about a website that normally isn't for Koreans, but is just a regular website and you want the Korean version. The only way you can do that is by telling that website, hey, I'm actually browsing from Korea. And some websites will accept that. There are extensions you can download for Chrome and Firefox and probably Safari. I don't know if Safari has extensions. I haven't used it. But you can download extensions that tell the browser to load a page in a certain language. You can try them, but they won't work all of the time because what they do is a website will say, like when your computer tries to connect to the website, the server will say, okay, well, what language do you speak? And you'll say, oh, I speak English. And the server will say, all right, well, here's the English page. Well, I speak Korean. All right, well, here's the Korean page. But not every website does this. Some websites will say, where are you accessing this page from? Okay, well, you need this language. So it doesn't matter what the language you're saying you speak is. Some websites will ignore that and simply serve the version of what country you're in. YouTube is a common example. If you go to YouTube while you're in Korea, YouTube gets your browser information. It doesn't matter that it says, I speak English. YouTube is going to say, hey, well, you're in Korea, so here's the Korean version. And that's what happens. Every time I'm in Korea, you'll see like suggested videos from Korea. The only way to get around that would be to get a VPN, which tells it, like, no, it actually sends the information from another country, Korea in this case. And then the website said, hey, what country are you from? I'm from Korea. Oh, what language? Well, Korean, obviously, and it sends you the information like that. I don't have a sponsorship with a VPN, so I'm not going to recommend any specific one. I found that I tend to use, I think it's Mulvad, Mullvad. This is not a sponsor segment. I know VPNs pay a lot of money for this sort of thing. I think I use Mulvad, if I'm spelling it correctly, and it's like $5 a month. The end. There's no signups. They don't get your credit card information. You just load money onto an account and they say, okay. And you can access it from any device. Now it sounds like an advertisement. I'm sorry. But anyway, I like that one whenever I'm in Korea because I sometimes need to access the English version of a website when I'm abroad, when I'm overseas, not because I need it in English, but because it won't load if it thinks you're in Korea. Some banking websites are like that. They will simply block access to the website unless you're in United States. Trega, hey, welcome, Trega. 안녕하세요. All right, you're from the, can see you're from the Daejeon, that sort of southwest area of Korea, which sometimes speaks like this. Chungcheongdo does that. Okay, let's see. Oh, yes, and Zandria, I forgot. I need to do 5 dabs for the $5 donation. You get $1 per dab. That's the current exchange rate. It does fluctuate a little bit, but it's been holding pretty stable at that for a while. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's for you, Zandria. We got another member as well. Rebecca Kotu. Thank you for joining as a channel member. Channel members are the way that I'm able to, I guess, justify spending my time to do live streams. And since I have Patreon members and channel members who support me, I'm able to keep doing these live streams most weeks. 2 out of every 3 weeks, I do these live streams. So thank you for that. And Trega. Oh, we got a donation from Trega. Trega is our second sponsor for today. And I have to give you 6 dabs, but actually, let me do those first because you have a question. So I want to do this first. Oh, you say 5 dabs. You only want 5. All right. I see you're accepting a lower exchange rate. Well, I'll accept that. So I can profit on the 1 dab. I'll pocket that. Appreciate that. All right. 5 dabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you ask a question. What's the difference between 택배 and 배달? 배달 is used for any sort of delivery. So you would say, 배달 왔어요. We got a delivery. Or like you delivered something. Or it is a delivery. That's just the general word for anything that's coming to you, that you're shipping. 택배, though, specifically is used, although it can be used for delivery. 택배 is specifically used for like the actual package itself. So you would refer to bringing in the package as you have the 택배. You can say 택배 왔어요 means actually, hey, there's a package at the door. Whereas 배달이 왔어요, 배달 왔어요 is more like we got a delivery of something. I don't know. It just something's delivered. These days, I tend to hear 택배 for everything. So if you're talking about getting a delivery, it's going to be 택배, like your package. Like I love getting packages. It's going to be 택배. 배달 is just the general word for delivering something. So I would say a simple way to remember this, because there are some nuances to this. I don't do too much delivery in Korea, so I can't give you any more nuance than that. But generally how it's used, if you're using it as a verb, you're going to want to use 배달. 배달 was going to be to your delivery, like 배달하다, to deliver something. 택배 is going to be used more often as, well, actually it would just be used as a noun. So that's your actual delivery, the thing, the package. Let's see. Susan Finn says, my first time in the chat, I've used your book and YouTube channel for a long time, but my tired old brain doesn't retain a lot. Well, my tired young brain also doesn't retain a lot either. It's just a hard language. It just takes time, I should say. Not that it's hard, but it takes a lot of time. I'm spending a month in October in Korea. Awesome. A month. That's going to be great. 상태로과 상태에서. So in the state of versus from the state of. And that's going to be, if you give me an example, I can tell you if you're confused about a specific sentence. But that's just that it's not a difference between the words you're asking. It's simply a difference between the grammar of 으로, so using, or as in a state of, in that case, or 에서, meaning from something, as in changing to something, or you're probably going to use 상태로 though, if you're wondering which one should I use, like in the state of, specifically with that verb that you're asking, with that noun that you're asking, you're going to use 상태로 when you're using that, like in the state of, or I think that's the question you're asking. Unless you give me a different sentence, I can clarify it more. 소포. So Ari asked the question, 소포 is an older word. It's not used as much as it used to be. I used to use it all the time when I was living in Korea. If you got a package, you would classify it as a small package, 소포. Let me check actually before I make sure I don't teach something wrong. I actually never looked up the hancha for that. So let me double check that it's the 소 for small for 소포. Yes, it is. Okay. 소포 literally is like a small package is what it means, like a small packaging. That would be like the word parcel. Now, do you use the word parcel in English? No, not really much. It used to be used more in Korea. Like this is what you would refer to as like if you were to go send a package, a small package, send a parcel, send a packet to someone, it's less commonly used. These days, 택배 is more commonly used. But 소포 is fine if you want to refer to like, just a small package. Yeah, that's also considered a 소포. There are many words that overlap in general meaning when you translate them to English, but there's a different connotation. 택배 just means anything that you've ordered that you delivered, like a box that comes in. 소포 is specifically more like the feeling of a small piece, a small package. It could be this big, but it's kind of like small. You think of something kind of like just a piece of mail, I guess, that has stuff inside of it. Paulina says, I want to know how to say in a state of. So if you're actually trying to say in a state of, that might be a different form you want. Now, 상태로 is used for in a state of, but the more common way to say in the state of, if you're not talking about the actual translation of in a state of, is going to be 태. And I have a separate live stream about that. In case you're curious, you might be interested in that live stream. 태 is a word that's used for the state of something. And you might say that like, maybe while could be a translation for it. Like, 채로 is how it's going to be used. And check my live stream list for that. That's a separate live stream. That might be what you want as well sometimes. Aneki asks another question. Let's see. We got like 3 more minutes. We can do questions and I'll start the live stream for the actual class. What sources do you use or did you use for input? So did I use for input? That's going to be a mile-long list because I've been learning Korean now for over 18 years. When I was living in Korea, my input sources were 100% conversations. I didn't watch much TV. I think I watched like a couple of movies at most. It would have been like 100% conversations. So listening to people talk. That was my main input source. These days, my main input source, in addition to using Korean on a regular basis, still talking with friends is the main input source I have. But in addition to that, it would be YouTube. I follow a few YouTubers that will make videos of talking about topics that I'm interested in, and that'll be a big source of input. But I wouldn't recommend them to you because these are my hobbies, my interests. And I wouldn't say watch something that you're not interested in. The reason I watch them is because I like their content, not only because that they speak in Korean. So I would find something that you like on YouTube and follow them. find a video that you would watch even if you didn't care about the Korean, and that's the right kind of content you want to look for input. Hey, Paulina, thank you. Hold on, I have to check. I just realized the currency Paulina is PLN, so it's Paulina currency, right? That's like almost $7. I can't believe I just realized that right now. This is interesting. It's totally random, but my donations today have gone $5, $6, and $7. So that means I guess the next one might be $8. Well, we'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whew. Yeah, you get your very own currency, the Paulina currency. Lexica says, you're responding to someone else in the chat. Korean idioms. I have a book I would recommend for idioms. Actually, not a book per se, but a series. 살아있는 한국어 is a book series, and these, I will say, are not for the faint of heart. So this isn't like, I want to learn some idioms. I wonder what idioms are in Korean. No. Please, no. This is not that kind of book. This is, I already speak Korean pretty well. In fact, pretty dang well. But I want to learn some more idioms. That's what these books are for. That's what these are for. They're marketed as if they're for beginners. These are advanced resources. So they have one that's for 속담, which is just general like idioms, like idiomatic expressions. You know, things like, let's see, I've already done all these books, so I know all of these expressions. There's like 300 in this one. 아니 땐 굴뚝에 연기 날까? So would there be smoke when it's not? It's kind of like what it means. So when there's smoke, there's fire. Like, do you need this kind of expression as a beginner? As an intermediate speaker? As an advanced speaker? Maybe. Then there's another book that has 관용어, which are like daily expressions. These might be like idiomatic, like using verbs. This one's really useful, actually. This one had another 150 or 300 or something in it. Let's find one. Okay. 콧대가 높다. So this is literally your nose is high, and this is for like being like snobby, kind of like that. And there are a lot of expressions in here that they're pretty useful. And then there's a third book. They actually have a fourth, but I wouldn't recommend it. The third one is for Hanja idiomatic expressions. So now you're getting even more difficult. But again, these are all for advanced learners. Yearcher, that one's pretty easy. Let's see. Let's find one, a fun one. Just trying to find a more difficult. Nah, that one's still kind of easy. Like half of them are like pretty. 주객 전도. That's like tables have turned. 10중 8구 in all probability. Like there's these things. And the thing is, none of these are in English, so it's all Korean. But I would recommend these if you're really looking for something to challenge yourself. Again, the series is 살아있는 한국어, so living 한국어, I guess you could say. Let's see here. And I started learning Korean 3 weeks ago. Oh, I got to start the class, but I'll do this question real quick. And I'm seeing a polyglot. I don't know who. Okay. Someone's saying not to learn grammar, but I feel like getting the basics is best. Yeah. That doesn't work for Korean. So I can't discredit any other person's teachings for any other languages, but I can tell you for Korean, that's not going to work. You need to learn some grammar to speak Korean. You can get quite far without knowing a lot of grammar. You can have conversations, but you're not going to get beyond a basic conversational level without knowing some significant amount of grammar. So no, that is not correct. Okay. So I have a fun lesson for us today. We're going to be learning how to ask for favors and do favors. We're going to learn how to ask for favors and do favors for other people. And in order to do that, we actually just need to learn a few verbs and how to conjugate verbs. So the few verbs that we're going to be learning are all the same today. All three of these verbs mean to give, like giving something to someone else. chuda, turida, sushida. All of these mean to give. We're going to be starting with the first one, chuda. And then we're going to go on to the other ones. So the way that this works is you need to first take an action verb. So that's any verb where you're doing something, like to eat, or to go, or to see, or to play, or to help, or to make. Anything where you're doing something is an action verb. And you conjugate that action verb as if you were making the yo form. For example, hada. How do you make the yo form of hada? Well, it becomes he. So you get he yo. Well, once you get that form, he, you're done. The way it normally works is you'll take the stem and then you'll attach either a or all, etc. If it ends in if it ends in the vowel o or a, and o if it ends in any other vowel. This should be a prerequisite. You should know this coming into this lesson, but you conjugate it as if you're going to conjugate the yo form, however you get that. And then you're going to use chuda after that. Make sure you can see that. Okay. So for a quick example, the verb hada would become he chuda. The verb 먹다, for to eat, becomes 먹어. Normally, 먹어요. Well, now you get 먹어주다. The verb to see, 보다, normally becomes 봐, like 봐요. Here you get 봐주다. The verb 만들다, to make, gives you 만들어 주다. That's all you have to do for this form. In fact, that's all you have to do for all of the forms we're going to be learning today, is conjugate an action verb as if you're getting the yo form. Don't add the yo, and then attach the verb to give. So let me first give you a few common conjugations that you might see this as. chuda can conjugate just like any verb. So you can do past tense, present tense, commands, suggestions, everything. A few common ways you might see it are 주세요, 줄게 or 줄게요, 줘 or 줘요, and 줄 거예요, future, etc. This can be conjugated just like any verb. Okay, I'm going to leave this up for just a second, and then I'm going to explain what it means. Sorry, is it Jassy or JC? I don't want to say it wrong. JC, hey, wait a second. Is this our $8 donation I was predicting? JC, we have now $5 from Zandria, $6 for Trega, $7 from Paulina, and now $8 from Tracy. So is the next one 9? I wish it went like double, because then I would be a billionaire before this live stream's over. Like if it was 1 and then 2, 4, 8, 16 like that. But I'm not going to complain. Thank you so much, JC. Let me give you 8 dabs for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you left a nice comment. You said, thank you for being such a great teacher. You are welcome. Thank you for being such a great student. That's the know you in the teacher world. Okay. JC. Okay, nice. I was thinking it was JC, but could be something else. Yeah, you cannot get away from learning. Yeah, you'll find a lot of people who are teaching languages. I'm sorry, I don't like to necessarily diss people, but you'll find that a lot of the people who are teaching languages, and I'm not talking about Korean, I'm just saying in general, they weren't paying attention very well when they were learning the language, and they don't know exactly how they learn the language. So they teach people based on the way that they learned, which is fine. You know, every teacher wants to share what they've learned, but they'll kind of present it as the secret because it worked for them. So that must be the one secret that is, you know, everyone's missing. Like, I did this, other people didn't this, but I did this and it worked for me. So therefore, this is the right way to do it. It's kind of sometimes the mentality you can get among various teachers on YouTube or just, I guess, in person as well. And yeah, I would have been like that too if I didn't like really study a lot of stuff about Korean separately. If I just simply learned Korean and then tried to teach it, I might go the same route and just kind of teach things that I had done myself. Well, here's what I did, therefore it must be right. But then after trying to teach Korean for a while online and then starting my YouTube channel, I learned, no, that's not really, like, not necessarily what I did was what got me to where I am. And there are other things that did. In this case, just speaking Korean didn't make me fluent. You know, just reading grammar books didn't make me fluent. All these things, there wasn't one secret. You need everything. You have to do all you have to be well-rounded to learn a language. And it's the same for Korean. You have to learn grammar. You have to do practicing for some reading. You have to do practicing for listening and speaking and writing. And all these things are important to become more well-rounded. Kinsedium. Hey, I don't know how to say your name. Kinsendium. Sorry, Kinsendium. Is that right? Hold on. I want to give you some more space. We can make this A smaller. Kinsendium. Thank you so much, Kinsendium. Gave a $16 donation. So yeah, now we're on our way to becoming a millionaire. Step 1 for being a millionaire by Key. So I'm going to give you 16 dabs. I didn't even think about that. My arms would fall off in my quest to become a millionaire. Is that worth it? Do I need money or functioning arms? I think money. I can teach Korean without arms. I can type with my nose. I'm actually pretty fast at typing, so I think I can do it. Okay, Key, thank you, and I'm going to give you 16 dabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Whew. Thank you. You say, okay, you can just call me Kin or Key. All right, I like Key. I think Key works because it also sounds like Key Cat, which is the bear that I have. So you're Key. Thank you, Key. Okay, I'll be rich and buff. It doesn't sound bad. Doesn't sound bad at all. I would like to be buff. I just don't like the work that goes into it, right? Is there a secret that I can get buff? Like a secret way that I can get buff arms without actually doing anything? Maybe I'll ask a polyglot. What if there's a shortcut to getting buff without actually exercising? We'll see. Okay, so what this form means is literally chuda, to give a verb. So to give the act of doing something to someone else. So, for example, if you are saying 만들다, to make, you would get 만들어 주다. Make, to give. Literally, we get to give the act of making something. So we might translate that as making something for someone else. Like making something for someone as a favor. Like, I'll make it for you. I'll make it for someone. He or she or they made it for me. As in, they gave me their effort of making it. That's what you get with this form. Doing something that's a verb. So you're doing a verb. Commonly, you'll see this form used with 주세요. Now, 주세요 is just a regular honorific form of chuda. It's a polite way of saying chuda. So you're giving something to someone. So you can say 만들어 주세요, which is 주세요, give it to me, please give me. 만들어 주세요, 만들어. So make it for me. Give me the act of making it. You're not saying just 주세요. You're not just saying give it to me. You're saying make it for me. It doesn't have anything to do with giving it to you, even though it's chuda, to give. What you're actually saying is making it as the give. Like, give me you making it. Sounds like caveman speak. Give, make. Like, make it. That's what I want you to give me, is the making of it, if that makes any sense. This doesn't translate too well into English, but that's the concept. So you're doing something as a favor, in a sense. So, that's all you really need to know for now. We're going to cover more of this in a second, as well as 2 more verbs you can use it with. But let's do a few sentences. I think we're ready for some sentences. So let me give you some examples. All right, so now we got Zandria, $5, $6, $7, $8, and then Key with $16. So the next donation on my way to becoming a millionaire has to be 32. 32. I'll expect $32. I'm just joking. I don't actually expect that. Okay, first sentence. I want you to make this. Please take my photo. Make this sentence. I'm going to give you a few words so you can make it. Okay. To make this, you're going to need to know how to say to take a photo. And you're first going to need to know the word a photo. And the word for a photo is 사진. And the word for to take, as in to take a photo, is 찍다. 찍다 means to take. So if you say 사진을 찍다, that means to take a photo. So you want to say, please take a photo. Thomas! Step 2! Step 2 from Thomas! This has gone on far too long. This has gone on way too far. I did not expect this. I was happy actually at Zandria's donation. I'm like, I got $5 from today. That pays for my electricity to run my lights to do this live stream. And then Trega, Paulina, JC, Key, and now Thomas Barros. Normally I'm just writing everyone's first name, but I think I have to write your last name too because it's pretty cool. I like saying that. Barros. Thomas Barros has allowed me to continue my dream of becoming a millionaire. So I guess next is going to be $64, obviously, and then start to get into the thousands. We'll see who the high rollers are in my stream. All right. Thank you, Thomas. I'm going to do some dabs while everyone's finishing making up that sentence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. How many? 32, 31, 32. Okay. Thank you again, Thomas Barros. I feel lightheaded. Okay. Paulina, I think you were first. 사진을 찍어주세요. Yes. 사진을 찍어주세요. 찍어주세요. Nice. Aniki. Traga as well. Perfect. Lexica as well. Perfect. Kaylee. Perfect. Traga. Is there a space between the action verb? So yes. I'll tell you that in a second. But yes, there is. Well, let's see if we have another sentence. Yes. Okay. I'm going to write down the sentence and I'll talk about that. Oops. Now note that there is a space between the conjugated verb and chuda. So here our sentence, 사진, photo, 찍다, to take a photo. So 사진을 찍어주세요. So give me the action, 주세요. Please give me the action of taking a photo. Please give me you taking a photo. You're not asking for the photo. You're asking for the verb. So please take a photo. As in, please take a photo for me. Please take my photo. 사진을 찍어주세요. If you go to Korea and you're alone, you want to take a photo, or you're in a group and you want someone else to take your photo, 사진을 찍어주세요. 사진을 찍어주세요 is going to be a really natural way to ask a stranger if they would take your photo for you. Okay. Next sentence. 2:17. Okay. I am behind on the time, but let's see. Okay. Please make me pasta. Pasta. Pasta is pasta. Please make me pasta. How do you say this? Paulina says, do we have to say mine? You can add in 제 사진을 찍어주세요 if you want to be specific. So not just could you take a photo for me, but could you take my photo? Yeah, you want to say either way. You can say either way. Excuse me, can you take my photo? Excuse me, can you take a photo for me? Like they're both the same. 사진을 찍어주세요 or 제 사진을 찍어주세요. But usually don't need 제 because they'll understand what you mean. And we do that in English too. Okay. Traga. So you don't need 저를, but we can talk about that. There is a sentence coming up which has for in it. But unless there's for in here, you don't need to have for me. You could say, please make pasta for me. 저를 위해. You could say that. It's not necessary though. You can just say, please make me pasta. So you don't need to have any sort of pronoun in here. Let's see. Paulina, perfect. Lexica, perfect. Maya, perfect. Okay, now I'm going down to the non-greens. Oh wait, Aniki as well. Perfect. Let's see. Let's read a few others. Yes. Nice. One user, 트리스 앱9. Okay, you have 요리해주세요. You don't need to say 파스타를 요리하다. You can just say 파스타를 만들다 is fine. 만들다 works for making or cooking anything. 요리하다 would be specifically for preparing, like you're not just making something, but you're like cooking something. You're preparing it. And it's fine, but it sounds a little more fancy than you probably need for just making pasta. It's not that you shouldn't have used it. It just has a different context. So this is a common beginner, not a mistake, but a common thing beginners should know is that 요리하다 is used for cooking. So if you say, I love cooking, or I cooked today, 요리하다. 요리. My hobbies are cooking, 요리. Good. But if you're making food, we just say making, 만들다. That's fine. 파스타를 만들다, 피자를 만들다. But if there's no noun that you're making, if you just want to say I did cooking, 요리하다 will be more natural. You can though say 피자를 요리하다. Sure, but it sounds like you're saying I was cooking and preparing pizza. Like, can you say I was preparing pizza? I was preparing pasta in English? Sure. But it has more of a fancy, like a little bit of an unnecessary feel to it. But without any word that you're making, just you want to say I was doing cooking, then 요리 is best. So no, you're not wrong. Okay. So let's do this sentence. Please make me pasta. So the verb for to make is 만들다. 파스타를 만들어 주세요. Pasta. 만들다, to make. In this case, to cook. 주세요. So please make me pasta. As in, please give me the making of pasta. 파스타를 만들어 주세요. Please make me pasta. Okay. I was going to leave it up, but I think you've gotten it. Okay, the next sentence. My friend bought me lunch. To buy. 사다. You probably know it, but I'm just giving it. My friend, you're going to say 친구 for friend. And then lunch is going to be 점심. You could also say 점심 식사. But usually it's not necessary. Just 점심. My friend bought me lunch. So you're not saying my friend bought lunch. You're not just saying 샀어요. My friend bought lunch, right? You mean in that case, not that they bought it for themselves or bought it just to buy it, but no, they bought it for me. How would you say that? My friend bought. Notice we have the past tense. So keep that in mind. This is past tense. My friend bought me lunch. Aziz asks, do I have a backup hat? Yeah, I have several of these. I'll just say that. 친구가 점심을 사줬어요. Perfect. Maya, perfect. Paulina as well. Perfect. You do want a space, but it's fine. Aniki, 친구, you'd want 친구가 or something like that. 점심 사줬어요. Perfect. 제 친구가 점심을 사줬어요. Perfect, Traga. Zandria says, are you talking about pasta? We were. You missed the pasta, but you still get to get lunch because your friend just bought it for you. You're on a full stomach. Did you eat pasta? Okay, and I'm reading some other sentences now. 점심을 사줬어요. 점심을 사줬어요. Nice. 만들어주세요. Okay. Oh, Salma, you have the previous sentence, but that's great. 친구는 제가 샀어요. Oh, 문은지, you want to do the conjugated verb and then chuda, not the past tense version of the verb or anything, just the regular yo form conjugation for the verb. 점심을 사줬어요. Nice, nice. The way you say pasta catches me off guard. Oh, so Traga, you're wondering about 샀어요 versus 사줬어요. So if you had said 샀어요, it means my friend bought lunch. Cool, but they just bought it. 사다 is just to buy. So my friend bought lunch. Does that mean it's for you? Does it mean it's for the friend? It just means they bought lunch. You could say 핸드폰을 샀어요. My friend bought a phone. Did they buy it for themselves? Maybe. Did they buy it for you? Maybe. There's nothing in there that says who it's for. It's just they made the purchase. They made a purchase of lunch. 점심을 샀어요. 사주다. They bought the lunch to give it. No, sorry, not to give it. They bought the lunch. They gave buying the lunch. So what I mean by that is not that they gave the lunch to someone, but buying the lunch was done for someone. They were giving the act of buying lunch. So it's not for themselves. They're buying it for someone else. In this case, me, if I'm saying 친구가 사줬어요, it could be someone else. It could be like, oh, my friend bought lunch for someone else. Could be this sentence, but it's just the friend bought lunch as a favor. So in this case, we can assume it's the speaker, but unless we say for me, we don't know. So you could change the sentence by saying, 철수를 위해 점심을 사줬어요. My friend bought lunch for 철수. Or if you want to be specific, 저를 위해 사줬어요. Bought it for me. But you don't need that. Just 사줬어요. So if you're eating lunch and your other friend says, hey, where'd you get that? And you say, 친구가 사줬어요. They're going to assume it means my friend bought it for me. If that kind of helps to clarify. And you'll see that more with these verbs. Okay. And feel free to ask questions like that. You're not going to be the only person who has them. Really. Don't feel like embarrassed if you ask questions, because I can guarantee you that if you have one question, there are 10 people standing right behind you, breathing right over your shoulder, like I think it was Eugene from Hey Arnold, like that have the exact same question as you that just aren't asking it. Okay. 친구가 점심을 사줬어요. 친구, my friend, or just a friend. 점심, lunch. 사다, to buy. In this case, 사주다. So they gave the buying of lunch. So my friend gave someone the buying of lunch, literally, or my friend bought lunch for someone. If you're the one speaking, if you're the one that's eating it right now, then it's probably they bought it for you. 친구가 점심을 사줬어요. So my friend bought me lunch. My mental picture of Billy's closet is full of racks of identical plaid. You're not wrong. One of the corners of my closet is that. There's a corner of my closet that just has shirts and hats. And then there's another corner that has keycats. Yes, plural, keycats. Maybe I'll do a closet tour someday. Okay, next sentence. Way behind on time. I just don't really care though. I will teach you Korean. I will teach you Korean. That's the sentence. Now, there are many ways you could say this. I'm just saying there isn't one answer. There are many ways you could say this depending on which verb form you want to use. Don't overthink it. Just make the sentence, I will teach you Korean. Any way you can. Teach, you're going to want to use 가르치다. 가르치다 to teach. And Korean, you can say 한국어. You can change it to 한글 if you want. It doesn't matter. Korean. I'll teach you Korean. And I will, you can use future tense. You can use 개요 for doing something for someone. So we're not saying I will teach Korean. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to teach Korean tomorrow at class. That's not what you're saying. You're saying I'm going to do it as a favor. I'm going to give someone my teaching Korean. So that's the difference. Are you doing it for someone, or are you just doing it? Like, you can say I'll teach Korean without using this form. Let's say, for example, I'll just use future tense, or let's use a formal future tense form. That way it's basic to understand. 가르치겠습니다. I will teach. Yeah, I will teach. Doesn't mean it's a favor. It just means I am going to teach. It's all about myself, what I'm going to do. My action is teaching. But you're teaching now, not just that you're teaching, but you're teaching it as a favor. You're teaching it for someone, for other people maybe. 제가 small typo traga, but I think you can notice that if you look at it. 가르쳐 줄게. Perfect, traga. Perfect. Maya, 한국어를 가르쳐 줄게요. Perfect. Aniki as well. Perfect. Paulina, perfect. Lexica, perfect. All right, all of these perfect sentences. Now let's see a few others. Mafaz, no, that would be my friend bought the lunch to me. So it wouldn't work. And row 2, the KO form is used for the speaker. Now, there are cases when it's not. In food service, like some sort of service industries can use forms in different ways, but you have to use KO for the speaker doing something. So you can't say someone else is going to 할게요. That wouldn't make sense. It has to be I will 할게요, the speaker. So it's always going to be I. 한국말 가르쳐 줄 거예요. Nice. Random person. Hope Gate. Nice. All right. Okay. So I'm going to give you a sentence. But most of you already got it, actually. Okay. 한국어를 가르쳐 줄게요. 한국어, Korean language. 가르치다, to teach. 가르쳐 주다. So you're giving someone the teaching of Korean. So you're teaching for someone. 한국어를 가르쳐 줄게요. So I will teach you Korean. Not just I will teach Korean, but I will teach it for you. I'm giving you my teaching of Korean. 한국어를 가르쳐 줄게요. So I'll teach you Korean. Okay, next sentence. My friend cooks for me. Now you can use 요리하다. My friend cooks for me every day. Cooks, you're going to use 요리하다. Every day, you can use 매일. I think that should show on the screen. Yeah, okay. My friend cooks for me. Friend, 친구 again. You don't need any other words. My friend cooks for me. So now it's not my friend going to cook for me. My friend cooked for me. Now it's my friend cooks for me every day. If you want a hint, you're going to use the standard present tense conjugation because it's present tense, cooks. Okay. Hey, Traga, perfect. That was fast. Fast draw on that. Maya as well. 친구가 매일 요리해줘요. Perfect. Paulina as well. 매일 친구가 요리해줘요. Perfect. And Aniki, 친구가 맨날 요리해줘요. Perfect. All right. Lexica, 제 친구가 매일 요리해주세요. Yes, actually, if you are being polite to your friend and you're speaking honorifically, 해주세요 also works as a present tense form. So, perfect. As long as you knew that. and you weren't trying to make it as like cook for me, 요리해주세요, cook for me as a command, but you're using it 요리해주세요 as a statement. So you're not saying give me, but you're saying they do, and you're being polite. Perfect. Chemos, I'm not sure. You might want to check the spelling again. And una dormilona, you don't need the ege or ante or anything like that because that means to. So it's not that they're cooking to you, they're simply cooking every day. 친구가 매일 요리해 주세요. Nice. 저에게 매일, you don't need the to me. Someone had asked the question, I'd already answered that saying no, you wouldn't need that. Okay. Let me just read a few other sentences. Ayakata asks, 가르치려. 려 is for intention, so you wouldn't use that in this sentence. There isn't any sort of intention being shown. Okay, so my friend cooks for me every day. Okay. 친구가 매일 요리를 해줘요. 친구, my friend, or just a friend. 매일, every day. 요리, cooking. 요리하다 is to cook. So, 요리를 해줘요. So, gives the act of cooking every day. So, my friend gives the act of cooking every day. So, my friend cooks for me every day. 친구가 매일 요리를 해줘요. Now, it could be for me, it could be 친구가 매일 요리를 해줘요, and you're referring to your friend cooking meals for their grandfather every day. That would work too without any other context. We don't know. But as the sentence appears here, it's just my friend cooks for me every day without any other context. If you included for someone else, then you could do that for someone else. But otherwise, my friend gives the act of cooking every day. So my friend cooks for me every day. 친구가 매일 요리를 해줘요. Okay, we're not done though. Actually, let's just put dots for here. Okay. The same thing that we did with chuda, we can now do with another verb, turida. So you take an action verb stem and you conjugate it just like before. 하다 still becomes 해, but instead of 해 chuda, now you get 해 turida. Who knows what turida means? Well, turida also means to give, but it's a different type of speaking. Paulina says, I need a friend like this. Yeah, I actually thought that when I was writing the sentence. I'm like, that's a really good friend. Maybe they want to be more than friends. Maybe they want to marry you and they're cooking for you every day and you just don't get the hint and you still call them a friend. Like, oh yeah, that's my friend. You know, he buys everything for me, cooks for me every day. I don't know. Yeah, everyone needs a friend like that. Friend that just cooks for you all day, every day. Not honorific. So I wanted to ask because I wanted to see how you'll classify it. So, turida is actually not honorific. And we'll talk about that. Honorific is the next. We're going to learn an honorific verb after this. Turida is a humble verb. Now, there are only two main humble verbs you have to learn. Turida is one of them. A humble verb is specifically used when someone who considers themselves to be lower, usually this is the speaker, when someone considers them to be lower, is giving something to someone that they see as being higher than them. Now, by lower and higher, I mean more important. And this can be something like someone who's older than you, or someone in a much higher position than you, or someone you just want to show extra respect toward. Maybe your grandparents, maybe your teacher. It could be a really good friend who you are not very close with, but you really appreciate everything that they do for you. So this would be, again, someone lower gives something to someone higher. turida. When you think of this verb, you can think of someone kind of doing this, like giving up to someone. Like, hey, here, I give this to you. Kind of like that. They're lowering themselves. That's why this is called a humble verb. They are humbling themselves down to give something to someone they think or they feel is higher than them or more important or more deserving or just someone they want to respect, like this. So, common conjugations for this. There are a bunch of ways you can see this conjugated. A few common ways would be 드리겠습니다, like 해 드리겠습니다, 드릴게요 or 드릴게, 드려요 or 드려, and so on. Again, this verb is not formal. You can be speaking casually with your friend and say 드려 about someone that you gave something to. It doesn't have to do with formality or not. It just has to do with being humble about the person you're giving something to. Not the person you're talking with necessarily, unless you're giving the person you're speaking with something, in which case, yes. But yeah. Okay, so, yeah, 뵙다 is the other one, or 뵈다, which is the same thing. Other than that, though, this is the exact same as chuda. So you use it in the same way. Again, remember, the speaker or whoever is giving something is giving something to someone that they feel is higher than them. So it's lower level to higher level. And higher and lower can be determined by someone's age. So older is usually considered to be more higher. Also, someone's position, like a rank in a company, like, your boss is going to be considered higher than an employee. And then relationship, how close are you with that person? So someone who is a stranger is going to be a higher rank than you. Someone who is in your family, like a, distant relative or, someone who you're not very close with will be considered higher than versus someone that you hang out with every single day. You're not going to consider them to be higher than you. You're going to be kind of considered equals, or maybe they're lower than you in status. So that's how this works. Okay. So let me give you a few sentences. So I want you to make this sentence. I will take your photo. I will take your photo. In this case, you have just run into your absolute bias. I won't say BTS in case you're a fan of a different group, but you ran into your absolute bias. And they're like with their friend, they're hanging out. You don't want to bug them, but they're trying to take a selfie. Okay, just imagine this scenario. You're fantasizing about you just met your bias and they're hanging out with a friend and you can't bug them, they're busy, but you see they're trying to like awkwardly take a selfie and you walk up, you're like, hey, I will take your photo. I'll take your photo for you. So in your mind, they are like, right? You look up to them. They're someone you respect. You look up to them, therefore they are higher than you. So you're going to use a humble verb when you are giving something to them. You're not going to say, yeah, sure, I'll get your photo. You're going to consider them as a higher level than you because you don't know them. Maybe they're older than you. Maybe they're your oppa or your nuna or whatever. So you're going to be extra humble toward them. This isn't about them necessarily. It's about your feeling that they are higher than you. So I will take your photo. How would you say that? Trega, 제가 사진을 찍어 드릴게요. Perfect. Paulina, 사진을 찍어 드릴게요. Perfect. Aneki, 제가 사진을 찍어 드리겠습니다. Perfect. Maya, 제가 사진을 찍어 드리겠습니다. Perfect. Lexica as well. 사진을 찍어 드릴게요. Perfect. We got 5 out of 5 perfect sentences. Okay, now I'm going to see some other sentences here. 찍어 드릴게요. Nice. 사진을 드릴게요. That's not wrong. 사진을 드릴게요 is just I'll give you a photo. It doesn't mean I'm going to take your photo. It's just simply I will give you. turida means to give. So it's not wrong, but it does not mean I will take your photo. So if they were taking their photo and you said 사진을 드릴게요, they'll think you're going to hand them a photo. Like maybe you have a photo you want them to have. It's just a different meaning. Una dormilon. Lona asks, what if they're higher than you, but you don't really respect them? Well, if you want to be rude, you cannot respect them. For example, say you meet a boss, but you don't like the boss. They're really mean. They're a weird person, whatever, but they're your boss. Are you going to speak casually to them? No, you have to speak politely to them because this is Korean society and that's how it works. They have different rankings with how they kind of consider other people. And should that change? Maybe, but it hasn't. So yeah, you would still, if they're higher than you, you still show respect to them. If you don't, it would be considered rude. Now, maybe you won't show respect to them. Like if they are, you're participating in Squid Game and you run into the front man, right? Are you going to speak politely toward him? No, because he's a jerk, right? But you might still speak politely to him when you're surrounded by everyone else and all of the guards, that are around him, because you want to show respect in that situation. So it's, do you want to show respect or not? Probably you do, unless you don't. Okay. I will take your photo. 사진을 찍어 드리겠습니다. So photo, 찍다, to take a photo. So before we had 찍어 주세요. Please take my photo. Now we have 찍어 드리겠습니다. So I will give you, this is formal, 씁니다, formal. I will give you me taking a photo. So I will take a photo for you. Like, hey, I'll take a photo for you. 사진을 찍어드리겠습니다. Now this would be very formal. You probably wouldn't need to speak like this to a K-pop celebrity because they're not going to be very old. Unless it's like an old K-pop celebrity, then sure, you can speak extra formally to them. If they're in their like 20s or 30s, like most people are, or I don't know, maybe 40s if you are into older K-pop, from 2000s or something, you're not going to need to speak like this. You can just use 드릴게요, which is fine. But I've given you this example just to show you. Okay, 사진을 찍어드리겠습니다. So I will take a photo for you. I will teach you Korean. Make that sentence. I'm not going to give you the words again since we already did it before. I will teach you Korean. Make this sentence. This one you have to do quick. I'm only going to give you a minute. Lexica says, my great-grandmother's advice on that front, never be rude unintentionally. Yes, I think that's good advice. Traga says, Squid Game Season 2. Yes, they are filming. They started filming it in July, I believe. So it's already restarted. That means you can expect Squid Game Season 2. This is unofficial, but I'm going to guess, just based on production schedule, you can expect it at the earliest, absolute earliest, by next holidays. So next year, sometime November, December is the earliest possible. I think more likely, though, you're going to get it in 2025, spring or summer. Because these TV shows take a long time. Movies are very fast for filming. Movies have a long pre-production, and then filming very fast, like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months is pretty standard. 2 months, I think, is standard. And then editing just for a few months, and then they release them. So if they film something, they can release it the same year. TV shows are a little bit longer. You might have to wait like a year after they finished film, or since they start filming before they can even start releasing the episodes. So it depends. Some TV shows, though, are really fast, but that's what I'd assume. Okay. 한국어를 가르쳐 드릴게요. Perfect. Trega. 한국어를 가르쳐 드릴게요. Perfect. Maya as well. 한국어 가르쳐 드릴게요. Perfect. 한국어 가르쳐 드릴게요. Aniki. Perfect. As well as Lexica as well. 한국어를 가르쳐 드릴게요. Perfect. All right. Let's check a few other messages really quick. Actually, let me write down this answer and then I can check a few more messages. 한국어를 가르쳐 드릴게요. So 한국어, Korean language, 가르치다, to teach, 드리다, to give. So I'm going to give you me teaching Korean. So I'm going to teach Korean to you or for you. 한국어를 가르쳐 드릴게요. So I'll teach you Korean. You could have just said 한국어를 가르칠게요. Like I'm going to teach Korean. But that's not necessarily that I'm teaching it for someone else, just I'm going to do it. So 드릴게요 shows that it's done as a favor. Okay, let's see. Someone asked a question, is turida only for talking to someone? No. You can also use it in other cases saying someone gave something, as in someone did something for someone else who's higher than them. But that's less common just because there aren't as many situations where you would talk about someone else as being lower than someone else. One example would be if you're talking about your child. So someone that you know definitely is lower than the person they're going to give something to. Then maybe like your kid or like your student or something. And you would say, my kid, Jeremy, cooked something or bought something for their grandmother or their teacher. In that case, you could use turida because someone is giving something to someone that's higher than them. But you can't do that for regular, like your friends, unless it's definitely someone that's higher than them. You're not going to do that for other strangers because it's kind of rude to assume that someone is going to be higher than the other person they're doing something for. Like you can't say, oh, the person gave a gift to the president. Like, unless you really, really know that person is lowering themselves to do so. So it's kind of like by saying it, you're humbling someone. So you can't forcefully humble someone else for someone unless there's someone you're close with or you definitely know their relationship. So you're not going to use it like that a lot, but it can be. Like, oh, give this gift to your grandmother. You little punk. 할머니한테 드려. 이거 할머니한테 드려. Give this to your grandmother. Like, bow down and give this to your grandmother. It's kind of like what it seems like. It's kind of what it sounds like. So if you can say that, if you can get away with saying, he bowed or she bowed down to give the gift to this person, then it's okay. Go ahead. And there are some situations when that's okay. But typically it's going to be the speaker talking about themselves, giving something to someone else, as in doing something for someone else. 주세요 would be for when you're asking for, it has a few uses, but it's used for when you're asking someone to do something. So 가르쳐 주세요 is like, give it to me. For your friend, you would just say 가르쳐 줘. 가르쳐 줘요. Like that. chuda, just conjugated with the yo form. 가르쳐 줘. Teach me. Not just teach, but 가르쳐 주어. Teach it and give me your teaching. That sort of meaning. Okay. And the last sentence for this, I want you to say, I made lunch for. So this time we need to add a meaning of for because we need to include that it's not for me, but it's for someone else. So this sentence is for someone else. The first one for someone else. I made lunch for grandmother or my grandmother. So I made lunch for my grandmother. To say for, if you need to specify, you can have the noun or the person or whatever, and then the object marker. And then 위하다. So that would become here, 위해 or 위해서. So that is the for. And I'll say that this is a little bit formal sounding, but it works. If you need to specify, this way is pretty simple. Okay. I made lunch for grandmother. See if we get any sentences here. Moon Unzi says, if you forgot to say the humble form in a situation where you should be humble, no, what I was talking about that would be rude is if you use turida or use humble speech on someone else without really knowing that person, then yeah, it would be rude. Using chuda instead of turida, it's not so much that it's rude. They're not going to think you're being rude if you mess up because they're just going to think your Korean's not very good. If your Korean is good and you misuse it, then it does sound a little bit less respectful, I'll say. It sounds, not that it sounds rude, but it's like, they should use turida. It kind of feels like that. But again, as a non-native Korean speaker, they're not going to be offended at it, most likely. Okay, Aneki. 할머니. Okay, you can use 할머님 if you want to be extra polite. 할머님 works, or just 할머니 is fine. 할머니님, so just 할머님을 위해 점심 만들어 드렸어요. Perfect. I mean, perfect. Maya, 할머니를 위해 점심을 만들어 드렸어요. Perfect. Paulina, 할머니를 위해서 점심을 만들어 드려요. I make lunch. Okay, that if you want to use present tense, I make it, not I made it, but that also works. Perfect. Let's see. 트라가 할머니를 위해 점심을 만들어 드렸습니다. Perfect. Lexica small typo lexica, but I think you can see it if you read it. 할머니를 위해 점심을 만들어 드렸어요. Perfect, lexica. All right, now let's see a few of the other sentences. 할머니 위해 점심을 만들어 드렸어요. Okay. 트리스 앱구, you'd want to use the past tense there, but what you wrote is not wrong. 할머니를 위해서 점심 만들어. Okay, nice. All right, nice. Yes. Oh, row 2, it's not 진실, 점심. 진실 would be like sincerity, like that sort of word. But, okay, so let me give you the sentence. And then we have one more verb we still have to cover. Okay. 할머니를 위해. So grandmother, 위해, for. So now we have for grandmother, for my grandmother. 점심, lunch, 만들다, to make, 드리다. So I gave the making of lunch for my grandmother is what we get. 할머니를 위해 점심을 만들어 드렸어요. So I gave the making of lunch for my grandmother. So I made lunch for my grandmother. If we didn't have this part, we still have a correct sentence. I made lunch for someone. And since it has turida in it, we can assume it's for someone that's a higher position than the speaker. 할머니를 위해 점심을 만들어 드렸어요. So I made 만들어 드렸어요. lunch, 점심 for my grandmother. 할머니를 위해 점심을 만들어 드렸어요. Okay. Let's take a quick break. Say thank you again to my sponsors before we go on to our last verb. Zandria, Traga, Paulina, JC, Key, that's right. And then Thomas Barros. Now let's go on to the last verb that we have. Sushida. Just like we did before, you take an action verb and you conjugate it. So 하다 becomes 해. And then instead of chuda or turida, now we have 주시다. What is 주시다? 주시다 also means to give, just like chuda and turida. But there's a difference. What is 주시다? Anna asks a question, can you use 점심 first? Sure, the nuance of the sentence will change, but grammatically it's fine. Yes, honorific. Oh, and lexica as well. I'm not sure if I read your sentence, but I see it now. Perfect. Okay. Yes, 주시다 is the honorific form of chuda. So before we had the humble version. Humble means that someone lower is giving something to someone higher. So they're humbling themselves down and giving something. 주시다, however, is when someone who's higher is giving something to someone lower. So it's not that you're lowering yourself, but it's that you're raising the person who's doing this verb. Often these will go hand in hand. You'll say someone did something and I'm doing this, like, you know, they can be used together. But humble is when the speaker or the person who's giving is lowering themselves. And honorific is when the person that's receiving it is being raised. So it's just the opposite. So again, it's when someone higher is giving something to someone lower. And this sort of speaking, honorific speech, is used all the time. It doesn't have to be like the president of the world gives a gift to you. It can be like literally just a stranger does something for you. Then you would want to use this form to show, hey, the stranger did something. Look, So this is not when the speaker, this is not when the giver is doing it, but this is when the receiver, but this is when the other person, someone else, is simply higher. You've already seen this form actually before. 주세요 is this verb, 주시다. Every time you say, 해주세요, like do this for me, and you're using it like that, it's this verb. So you can tell someone, please give me the salt. 소금 주세요. Please give me the salt. You're actually saying, not just give me the salt, but you're saying, you are higher than me. Not that I'm lowering myself, but just you are higher than me. Give me the salt, like that. Or my friend, or no, let's see. Or we did this example. My friend cooks for me every day. Well, okay, you used 요리해줘요. But if you used 해주셨어요, 주시다, now it's like you're saying your friend is above you and they're cooking for you. So it's like showing extra respect. So this one is the exact same thing, just when the person that's giving it is higher. So that's what it means. Yeah, so anytime you're using 주세요, you're already using this form. Other common ways you'll see it. 주셨어요. And then a really common way that you'll want to use this form, I recommend writing this down. Is as 주시겠어요, as a question. 주시겠어요 is a question way to ask someone if they would give you something, and you can use it with verbs as well. And it sounds like saying, could you please, or would you please? So you could ask, hey, would you please make me pasta? To a stranger. You know, you're walking down the street and you see a stranger, you're like, hey, could you please make me pasta? And you can ask it really nicely. 파스타를 만들어 주시겠어요? Would you please make me pasta? That they can't refuse. They're going to say, you know what? I don't know you. I'm 67 years old. I'm on my way to meet my grandson. We're going to have lunch together. I'm from Korea. I don't even know what pasta tastes like, except for Korean pasta. So I don't know what this pasta is you're talking about. You want that? I don't have any pasta noodles. I don't have much money, but you know what? You drive a hard bargain and you asked very nicely. So, okay. This is how you get stuff. You ask with 주시겠어요. Would you? Could you? Please? Okay. Let me give you an example. Actually, I think you can do this. My dad bought me a cell phone. My dad bought me a cell phone. Now, the word for cell phone is handphone. So, 핸드폰. We already learned buy is 사다. And dad can be 아빠 or 아버지. So here, you're going to say your dad bought you a phone. You're not just going to say my dad bought me a phone, but you're not going to say just my dad bought me a phone, but my dad bought me a phone. My dad is higher than me and did something for me, gave me doing something. So my dad bought me a phone. How would we say that? And 4 people already wrote the answer. Before I could even finish explaining it, you already have an answer here. Okay. Maya, 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. Perfect. Aniki, 우리 아빠 휴대폰을 사주셨어요. Perfect. I like you used 휴대폰. That's also fine. That's the word for mobile phone. 핸드폰 sounds more like cell phone, but they're both perfect. 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. Perfect, Chaga. Paulina, 아빠 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. Perfect. Lexica, message retracted. Probably, though, it would have been perfect, but fix it, and then I'll give you another perfect. Let's see other people's sentences now. Teresa has, 우리 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. Perfect. 아빠 핸드폰, random person, small typo for 핸드, but your sentence is correct. 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. Nice, nice. 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. Okay. Nice. I'm going to write the answer here, but you already have it. So let's write this over here. Okay. Let's see, lexica. Tragus says you made a mistake. Where? Oh yeah, 사 주오셨어요. Yeah, I see that. Should be 주셨어요. But if you found the mistake yourself, that's even better. I didn't notice. 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. Nice. Lexica, perfect. Okay. 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. So 아빠, my dad, 핸드폰, cell phone, 사주다, to buy, as in to buy someone. In this case, it's going to be buy me. So my dad, he bought me 주시다. He is in a higher place than me. Respectfully. So my dad, respectfully, honorifically, bought me a cell phone is the feeling you get. 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. So my dad bought me a phone. You could have said 사줬어요. Then you're just not showing any extra respect toward the dad. And depending on your relationship, that could be fine. But typically, you're going to use honorifics when you're talking about other people who you want to show extra respect toward. So that could be older family members. It can be strangers. It could be your boss or other colleagues that are higher than you at work, your teachers, anyone that you want to show extra respect toward. You can use this, honorifics. And sushida is simply an honorific version of chuda. It's not a magic word. It's just chuda, honorific. And honorifics can be applied to any verb, not just chuda. Any verb can become honorific, just so you know. So anytime anyone is doing any action that you consider they are someone that you want to show extra respect toward, add honorifics onto that verb. And I have a whole other lesson about honorifics on my channel if you want to learn more about that. But if not, then this can be a short introduction. Okay. The last sentence that I have for you today is, would you please take a photo for me? Would you please take my photo? Would you please, or could you please take my photo? Could you please take my photo? How would you say that? We've had taking photo examples for all three of our verbs. So I don't need to tell you the verbs this time. This is our last sentence. Bora says, do you write sa and chu? Yes, you're supposed to have a space between the form. Paulina, 사진을 찍어 주시겠어요? Perfect. Aniki as well. 사진을 찍어 주시겠어요? Perfect. 한글을 가르쳐 드렸어요. Nice. Nice, JJ Korean. Let's see. Lexica, 사진을 찍어 주시겠어요? Perfect. Traga, 사진을 찍어 주시겠습니까? 주시겠습니다. Small typo, Traga. Small typo, but yes, your sentence is perfect. Very formal though, but yes, it's fine. Maya, 사진을 찍어 주시겠어요? Yes, perfect. Oh, you're missing a quotation mark. Sorry, not quotation. Question mark. Other than that is perfect. Okay, let's see another few sentences here. 찍어 주시겠어요? 찍어 주셔요. You can use 주셔요, but that's not a form I would recommend using it as is. You don't want to use 세요, 주세요. Row 2 says, I ate my grandma's cake for her, like to make her happy. You could say 먹어 주다. Sure, you could use it. I mean, are you really doing it as a favor? Like, it kind of seems like you didn't want to. But yeah, in context, that could work. So this form, Aniki asks, so this form will put Koreans under a curse of doing anything you want? Yes. Yes, 100%. Yes, they have to. When a Korean hears something that 주시겠어요, they're like, oh, 어머나, what's happening to me? And they have to do it. They don't even know how to use a phone. Some like 90-year-old woman, but suddenly she's going to grab your phone. She's going to open the camera app, apply a filter, get the right camera angle, and take a photo for you. It's just, they just can't resist. The form is just too beautiful. Yep. 사진을 photo, 찍다, to take a photo. 사진을 찍어 주시겠어요? So would you please give me taking a photo? Would you please take a photo for me? Could you please take a photo for me? 사진을 찍어 주시겠어요? Yes. So use 주시겠어요 with conjugated verbs when you're asking for favors from strangers. Sounds very polite. I use 주시겠어요 all the time when I'm in a restaurant. You can just say 주세요, but if you want to be extra polite, 주시겠어요? 저기 메뉴 주시겠어요? 메뉴판 주시겠어요? Would you give me not menu, but 메뉴판. So the actual the menu, the plastic menu. Would you please give me a menu? Can you please give me water? Can you please give me this? Like that. Just sounds really polite. So yeah, definitely use this as it is. It's really good. Okay. So hopefully now you can use these three verbs, chuda, turida, and sushida. So that is the lesson for today. So that's the whole lesson for today. If you have any questions, I'm going to stay around for questions for about 15 minutes, and then I'll close the stream. We do not have a live stream next Sunday. I just did one last week and this week, so next week is off, but then we'll come back to the live streams after that. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions you have about this lesson or any lesson or about anything related to Korea. And I'm going to stick around for about 15 minutes for that. Thank you everyone for coming. And I was really impressed. Most of you got the answers before I needed to do much explaining. 돈 주시겠어요? Would you please give me some money? Yeah. If you said that and you had a reason, you'd probably get some money. I've never done that. But yeah, if you legitimately needed like $1 to take the subway, I think people would help you out. Yeah. Lexica says, 감사합니다, 빌리 선생님. You are welcome. 아니에요. No. Traga asks, will you do more listening practice videos as you used to? You're referring to the Korean test preparation videos. I stopped making those because no one watched them. I didn't get enough views on them to justify making them because it takes about the same amount of time to make one of those as it did for me to make a Korean FAQ video, but Korean FAQ videos usually get more views. So I didn't have enough time to make those anymore. It's not that I don't want to do those types of videos. I will sometimes, but I don't have enough time to make them and make Korean FAQ and the other series. So not currently, but I might do something else as a way to replace that for Korean listening. So stay tuned. Oh, hey, Joe Turner. You're hiding there in the background. Aniki says, why does Korean have so little irregularities compared to other languages? I'm not sure. Are we talking about the same language? Korean has a lot. Now, maybe not as many as French, where the entire language is an irregularity, but it does have a lot of exceptions in Korean. So no, it does have a lot. Okay. Sarah M asks, do you only do lessons on YouTube? Yes, currently I have lessons on YouTube. I also offer not private lessons per se, but private coaching if people are interested in that. There is information on my, where do I have information? Yeah, if you search the website Super Peer, you can find me on there. I don't advertise it though, because it's not something I want to have fill up. It's something for case by case, for people who really need some extra advice, I would say, but not for general lessons. Just because I don't have enough time. Do you plan on doing more dialect videos? I've already done all of the major dialects that people are interested in. Now, there are a few more dialects I haven't covered, but no one has expressed interest in those. So I will do one more though. I would like to do one on Daegu dialect. So I've done one video on Daegu, but I'd like to do another. So we'll see. Maybe next time I go to Korea, I'll do another video on that. But right now, I'm good where I'm at. How do we say, save me, please? There are a bunch of ways to say that. 살려주세요 is the most common. You'll see that in like TV shows and everything. But 살리다 is to save. Literally, 살다 is to live. 살리다 is the causative version. So this would be to let live. So when you say 살려 주세요, you're saying please let me live is what you're saying. So it's like please save me, someone. 살려 주세요 or 살려요. This is used a few different ways. 사람 살려, 사람 살리다 is to save someone. 사람 살려, like save me, help me. It's another way, but 살려 주세요 is most straightforward. Okay, let's see. Oh, let me get another question. Mafaz asks, how do you recommend learning honorific form? You would just learn the ushida form, or in this case, shida, like chuda becoming chushida. And I have a live stream about that, but I also have a full Korean course that introduces how those work. I would say check that out. Let me find the link here. Here, I'll link to my beginner course in the chat. It should come up any second now. There we go. Follow that. It's free. It's a full course. It obviously doesn't go into as depth. It doesn't go into Korean in depth as much as my books or, courses would. But for a video course, I'd say it's pretty complete. It goes over a lot of the need to know points. And I would say try that. It has a full lesson about honorifics. And if you want more, I have a separate course that's specifically about honorifics, like a full series about politeness levels that you can also watch for if you're more intermediate level. Traga says you've almost finished the beginner course. What lesson are you at? The last 20 have the most information. That's because originally it was planned to be a course that has 120 to 150 episodes. I was going to do the same content in 120 or so episodes. And after doing lesson 60 or so, I realized no, I need to compact this. 100 is a nice number. I need to finish this because I want it to be more like you can feel like you can do it. I felt over 100 kind of feels like a bit overwhelming. I'll stop at 100. So I ended up making the last ones a little bit more dense from 81 until 100. Not like 2 lessons dense, but like a little bit more for each one. Aniki says, I've studied French for 8 years in school and I would die in France. I had a dream last week that I visited France and I was going to go to the Eiffel Tower because I've never been to France before. So I was visiting France, but I was lost. So I was, it was the kind of the period between being asleep and being awake. So I remember trying to speak French in my dream and I was coming up with sentences. It was awful. I was just trying to ask, where is the Eiffel Tower? And I asked it and then they replied to me something and I didn't know what to say. I couldn't say anything. Well, and in my dream, I was wait, how do I say Eiffel Tower? And I knew it was something, L'Eiffel. It's So yeah, it was horrible. I would also die in France. 96. Yeah, you are. That's really almost done because the last 3 lessons are focused on situations. So they're not so much new grammar, but focusing on using everything from the lessons. Yeah, you're really toward the end then. Zandria says, as an ESL tutor, I'm telling you, compared to Korean, English is an absolute nightmare to learn as a second language. Yeah, I am grateful every day that I grew up speaking English because I would not want to learn English. English is just a mess. And that's because while every language is influenced in some way by their neighbors, so in Korea's case, it's been influenced for hundreds of years from Chinese and Japanese and other languages as well, but not to the extent that English has been messed up with every other language, Romance languages. I guess technically though, you could say it's related to those, you go far enough back. But anyway, yeah, no, English is just a big mess. Ask me in French, where is the Eiffel Tower? Yeah, I can't even do that. I could be like, I can't remember the Eiffel Tower in French. I can't remember the word for Eiffel Tower. Où est le grand, l'Eiffel? Where's the Eiffel something? Yeah. Okay, that's right. Tour. Yeah, well, that's right. Tour Eiffel. Tour Eiffel. Okay, the Tower of Eiffel. Où est la Tour Eiffel? And then they would reply, and I would have no clue what they said, but I would just follow where their hand pointed. I'd be like, oh, okay. Merci beaucoup. Oh, oui, c'est là. Oh. It's right in front of me. I just wanted to practice my French, but it was like literally right in front. I want to do that. I'll go to the Eiffel Tower, and then I'll be like, so like you can, it's like 100 feet in front of me. So I'll walk up to someone in front. Oh, excusez-moi. Oh, I'll, explain the story. I'm from California. I don't speak very much French, but I'm really wondering, où est la tour? And they'll be like, c'est là. You don't see it. It's right here. But, oh, oui. Oh, merci beaucoup. Yeah. Shem Mose asks, do you have material or videos on the topic? I do. I have a video where we talk about the topic, so should you take it or not, in my Glass with Billy series. And I also have a series of videos called Korean Test Preparation or Korean Test Practice, which is all about topic style questions. And there are, 20 or 30 or so of those videos. So check that out. It's also on my channel for Korean test preparation videos. Mafaz says, if you want an easy language, try Swedish. Okay. If you know English, you're halfway there. All right. I don't believe you. I think it's going to be harder than that. Let's see. Traga said, I'm glad I don't have to learn French, but English is super easy. All right. Just reading some of the comments that I may see if I missed something. I'm reading up here a bit. Una Dormilona says, my Korean friends are usually younger and we speak Panmar, so I really liked learning to use turida and sushida. Yeah, you're still going to use turida and sushida regardless of speaking Panmar. You can say chusho and turyo in Panmar, and it's totally normal, but it's depending on who you're talking with. For example, this lesson's already done, but if you were saying, my dad bought me a cell phone, we had the sentence 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어요. But that sentence is polite. It's not formal, but it's not impolite. It's 주셨어요. So if you're talking with an acquaintance or a stranger and you're saying that, or a friend who's older than you, 주셨어요 is correct. But what if you're talking 반말? What if you're talking casually with someone who's younger than you or the same age as you? 사주셨어. 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어. You're talking to your friend. You're still showing respect to your dad, which you want. Even when you're talking with your friend, you still want to say, hey, my dad, yeah, he bought me a phone. 아빠가 핸드폰을 사주셨어. That's the natural way to do it. Or, I made lunch for my grandmother. 할머니를 위해 점심을 만들어 드렸어요. That's still polite. But if you're talking with your friend, 점심을 만들어 드렸어. 내가 점심을 만들어 드렸어. So I made her lunch. It's very polite. But now you're still showing humbleness. You're still showing that you're humble toward the grandmother, but not to your friend. So that's how you can still convey it. So yeah, you would use these with every level of speech. On the other side is you still have to learn these forms even if you plan on speaking casually to everyone. Lauren asks, would you consider doing any new videos on the object or subject marker? I would say first watch the videos that I have, because I counted and I have 16 videos on the various markers. 16 or 17 videos. I actually counted last week. 16 or 17 videos on my channel already cover the markers. So topic, subject, and object in different ways. Some that are just reviews, some that are specifically on one or the other. Live streams. I have 2 live streams as well as 2 live abridged versions. There are videos in my Korean FAQ series, videos in my Learn Korean series. There are videos in the beginner Korean course about those. Yeah, please check those out first. Then ask that again. If there's a specific part that's lacking about them, then I can make another video to cover it. But I think if I were to make another one, an 18th video, people would get mad at me because they're like, Billy, stop it. You have enough. But yeah, check those out first. HMax says, I love how Korean sentences are constructed. I find that Korean is much easier to understand as a beginner. I will say Korean is constructed in simple sentences very, what's the word? Like mathematically, like it feels like it's purposely constructed in a certain way. But when you get to more natural, like native sounding sentences, I think a lot of that goes out the window, and you'll have to understand things based on the nuance that they give and not necessarily based on the literal meaning of everything. So for this lesson, I've been doing my best to give you these sentences in a way that are easy to understand, like formulaically. Formulaic was the word I was looking for. But in a real conversation, you're going to hear things used a little bit differently just because the speaker and the listener already know the context. And in context, you need a lot less information in a sentence. You can cut out words or add in different words it just doesn't play nicely when you're trying to translate it to English though, to teach. So, okay, I'll take a couple more questions and then we'll finish for today. For those of you who are sticking around, I'll let you know my next project. About 20 people or so left once the class finished. So those of you who stuck around, you get a bonus. One of the next projects I'm going to be doing is going to be another K-pop analyzed series. So look out for a vote on what group to do coming up. I already asked my Patreon members this, so I'll probably ask them again. So join my Patreon if you want to be up to date on that. After I ask the Patreon members to pick out some options again, then I'm going to present those options on my YouTube channel, and you can pick among those, the ones that my Patreon suggested. So that'll be the next thing that we'll have after I finish a few more weeks. I think 3 more weeks of editing, and then I'll do that as my next project. More Jin dad jokes. I'm not sure if they're going to vote for BTS this time. Last time I asked was back in May, I think. I asked in May, and they weren't suggesting BTS. They were suggesting other groups. But I'm going to ask again, and we'll see. It was on Patreon, the vote. I think it was it must have been back in May or June. So you would have to scroll back in time. But I did have a post that was asking what group should I analyze next. So you can feel free to leave a comment on there, but I'll ask it again because I was originally planning on doing more right when that last series finished, and then I ended up going to Korea, so I couldn't. And I figured it'll stay the same, but since I've come back from Korea, actually over those few months over the summer, the K-pop landscape changed a lot. And a lot of the groups that I thought obviously are the most popular changed. And it's no longer like this group definitely, but now there are several groups that are really popular. So I'll have to re-ask. He says it would be cool to analyze scenes from Train to Busan. I wouldn't be able to analyze movie scenes for copyright issues. My video would get struck and it would get copyright struck and I wouldn't be able to keep it up. So, before I take another question, I just want to say extra thanks again to our sponsors for the live stream today. Sandria, Traga, Paulina, JC, Key, and Thomas Barros. You'll always get mentions. Let's see. Rushing War says, I'm an upper beginner and I'm struggling to not make the simplest sentences possible when trying to convey what I want. I'd like to try and use more complex grammar. Can I ask you, Rushing War, before I just make a generalized answer, are you able to make simple sentences that convey what you want? And random person, someone answered that. It's the test of proficiency in Korean. It's just a test if you need it for some jobs in Korea require it, or some people want it as a reward, like a medal of success for themselves. I took the TOPIK, but the result expires after 2 years anyway. So if you have a TOPIK test result, it doesn't really apply after a few years. So no, you don't have to take it, but maybe you have to take it. Depends on your job. Chemo says poems. Can someone learn from poetry? You can learn stuff from poems the same way you can learn from songs, but not much. You'll learn vocabulary, some expressions, but you'll also learn equally as much wrong expressions, or awkward. I should say awkward, like cringe level sentences. Like if you were to start quoting song lyrics, but you're doing it seriously, imagine how cringy it would sound. Not K-pop. I'm not being specific to K-pop, but just any song. So let's find a song. What's a song? What's a good song? Let's see. Never Gonna Give You Up. Okay. You know, we're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. Are you gonna like talk like this in real life to other people? It just sounds like, if you're joking, it's funny. But if you were to say these types of expressions seriously, everyone's gonna be like, dude, what's wrong with this guy? Like, why does he talk like this? It makes sense. It's just kind of weird. Or like, mama say, mama sa, mama fusa. I think it's that the lyric. Too high to get over, too low to get under. You're stuck in the middle. I don't even know what the next line. I can't understand that song. You're what is it? Say, hey, your vegetable eye. What's wrong with you? Like, it's just weird. So don't learn from poems or songs unless you're trying to gather, I do want a few extra expressions or a few extra words. That's fine. Just know that that's not how you speak. That's how you write poetry. The fact that Billy, who doesn't know the lyrics at this time? I've been rickrolled more times than I can count. Yeah. So yeah, that's my advice about learning from K-pop. Just don't. Pronunciation is wrong on purpose. Expressions are wrong on purpose to make it rhyme. The expressions they do use will be awkward or uncommon just so that it sounds nice or matches the rhythm. Poetry is the same. Poetry also doesn't have to make sense. It just has to invoke feelings. And that's the purpose of lyrics. Not the same purpose as communication, which is to convey information. Our bonus for staying was getting rickrolled. Yeah. Now all of you get rickrolled. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Try to make you understand. Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. Never going to run around and hurt you. Never going to make you cry. Never going to say goodbye. Never going to tell a lie. Wait, I think I said hurt you the other time. Oh, desert you was the other. It should have been desert you for the first time. But anyway. Is there a version of slow news for Korean? Okay, this will be the last question that I take. Yeah, no. The best you can get for news is going to be kids news. So I recommend Donga, D-O-N-G-A, Donga Kids News. You can find it on the internet. It has simplified versions of news articles that are written for kids and teenagers, but it's 100% real Korean. So they're great if you want to know what's currently going on in Korea. They're not easy. I'll let you know. It's not like easy to read. It's actual difficult advanced level Korean, but still it's more readable than actual newspapers, which are sometimes very hard. Talk to Me in Korean has a news in Korean series. Yes, that's right. I haven't seen them, but they do have one. Key says that's actually a game where you can only talk in song lyrics. That sounds like something from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Can only reply with song lyrics. Yeah, something like that. Or song titles, I think is what they do. Okay, so yeah, don't learn with K-pop and don't learn with poetry, but you can use them as just, I want to grab a phrase here or grab a word here. But yeah, that's commonly I'll see people ask questions like, hey, Billy, what's this word mean? Or what's the difference between this word and this word? And I can tell that they're studying by just listening to K-pop songs. They'll ask words that are never used in speech, but only come up in poetic usage. And that's what can happen there. So just be careful. Korean Whose Line? Yeah, I don't actually know what the name for improv would be. I've never heard of it. I'm sure there is. There's got to be Korean improv. I've never heard of it. That would be fantastic. There is they did make Saturday Night Live, they have a Korean SNL, but I don't watch that. But they don't have a Korean Who's Line. That would be great. Definitely, I'll let the president of Korea know that they should start Korean Who's Lines in anyway. Okay, that is the lesson for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Next Sunday, there is no live stream because I do 2 weeks in a row and then 1 week off. So every 3 weeks, I'll teach 2 classes. 2 weeks from now, I will see you again. So thanks for watching and take care. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.